Trump and vaccine mandate news.
Well, let's do the Trump thing now, and we'll end with the vaccine news. Okay, you saw his post on Truth Social, and I read it. I read it multiple times, and I said, look, okay, my understanding of it, he says this was a fraudulent election, and it can call for the termination of all rules, articles, etc., even those found in the Constitution. First of all, okay, dude's pissed and he's ranting. I got very suspicious when the media, all of a sudden, they're talking about Trump threatening to terminate the Constitution when the Twitter files literally revealed that they effectively said, what was it? The First Amendment is not absolute. So they are accusing Trump, who may have given them the grounds to do so in a Truth Social post, of doing exactly what was just revealed that they had done. So they have to divert, distract, etc. I heard some people interpreting Trump's Truth Social to say he's not saying to do it. He's just saying that it's, fraud vitiates everything. That I can understand. Okay. Still think it's poor wording, fodder for people who want to make him look like a crazy man. I would have gone with the argument that he wasn't saying terminate the Constitution, but rather terminate the articles or regulations which might be incidental to the Constitution itself, which the Constitution might say you have to overturn these articles because they were articles based on fraud, whatever. What's your take on Trump's post? And people will say that you're partisan, you like Trump, and you've been a Trump supporter. But I trust you enough to be objective, and if I think I'll see what I think of your answer. How do you interpret his post?
I think your analysis is precisely right. So it goes to like the book Ratification behind me by Pauline Meyer about those debates. And Trump's core argument is that the strict technical provisions of the Constitution were meant to enforce an honest election, not meant to authorize and ratify a dishonest election. Now, that's how he should have put it. Right. But now also you never know with Trump whether he says, if I use this language, I bet I get the media to cover it. And often he does that deliberately because he thinks if they're talking about an issue that's favorable to him in his mind, that's net plus, even if the means by which they did so was something that sounded real controversial at the top. So he thinks if people are talking about whether 2020 was an honest election, then Trump thinks he wins that debate. Doesn't matter how they're talking about it or why they're talking about it. Trump has often had that modus operandi. So that may be the political strategy he was employing. I would say as a general rule, and that's why he may have used the inflammatory language of terminate and Constitution in the same sentence. I would never put those two words in the same sentence. So and as to his principle that the Constitution should be interpreted in the spirit of the founders, meaning that it's about honest elections and everything should be done to assure honest elections. I get it. The reality is we set up a procedural remedy for that, and our procedural remedy we locked in for a reason. We did not want 2 years later presidents getting thrown out on somebody's grounds that didn't happen at the time. It's just I disagree with Trump on that. I think the bottom line is, and part of this is on him. It's not just, at one point I was going to run all the election contests for him. He and his chief of staff had both supported me in that capacity. And it was Romney McDaniel, the Republican National Committee chairman, who Trump had, I think, foolishly delegated everything related to campaigns about, who blocked me. So I'm very encouraged to see both Lee Zeldin and Harmeet Dillon likely to challenge her as Republican National Committee chairwoman. But the strategy, the people that I was with were talking about, not just me, a bunch of really smart, sophisticated people, was to take this to Congress, to establish in Congress, to do the Supreme Court challenge, but recognize Supreme Court was likely going to hide, but use the foundation of that Supreme Court challenge to go to Congress and build that up in advance and focus on things like signature matches and whether it was a constitutional election, get away from machines and all this other stuff that made his people sound like they were idiots and would often repeat just basically false stuff. I'll give you an example. There's a popular meme out there. When Jill Biden was about to give her speech at the Democratic National Convention, she tweeted out an early photo of her and Joe Biden when she is 23 and he's like 33. Somebody smart as a troll put up on Facebook that this was really Joe Biden when he was 33, but she was 15 and she was his babysitter. That's all false. It's always false. She was never his babysitter. The ages don't even overlap. Time periods don't overlap. That was something done. And I get it for fun, but so many people have repeated it that think it's true. What it does is it helps discredit critics, questioners, because they're caught endorsing something that about 5 minutes of research could have told them wasn't accurate. And so that's what a lot of the machine stuff did. So I think in that sense, Trump's words were not well chosen. I also think that, and this is also on him, because the other thing was some of us encouraged him. Okay, if you're serious about elections, you want to keep it in the news. Create a think tank that supports election integrity and nothing else. Help fundraise for it. Be active for it. Let's change state laws related to it. Trump did none of those things. So, that's really on Trump. And so the people that are critics of Trump will see that comment, his truth post, and say he's still obsessed with 2020, even though in his announcement speech, he almost never talked about 2020 election. So it's like, I get what I think he's trying to recirculate the story with the context of Trump, but I don't think he's always doing it in the most effective way for his own purposes.
Okay, good. I feel somewhat. I thought I totally misunderstood something, and what he was saying was totally sound. It's just amazing that it's the diversion of the media that they're now trying to say that Trump is unfit for having suggested something that they insisted upon and basically stated outright in 2020. The First Amendment is not absolute, as though that's not part of the Constitution.